Hi everyone, welcome to session 3, and in today's session we will get a lot more details done on the eyes, and we will work on the background some, and we will continue building up the fur layers. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to get my brush wet and make sure that it's nice and clean, which it is for the most part, and then I'm going to squeeze the water out of my brush. And then I'm going to dip just the tip in, and I'm going to get these eyes wet. And the idea is let them dry a little bit to about buckling stage, which won't take long with the very small amount of water I'm putting, and then drop in some cream consistency lamp black to create a really dark but soft pupil. Let's see what we get. Maybe do a test first. Pick up some nice black that's already dried on my palette with my damp brush. Dip just the tip into my water and then pick up some more paint. And let's do a little dot test. That's really quite perfect. It's holding its shape, but merging softly. Where I want it to, but then it dried. So I'm gonna get this brush clean. I think it's already pretty clean. Squeeze out all the water. So just get a little dip of water, squeeze it gently, and then touch this edge that got a little hard on me. And also, I want to get this area wet down in here. Because this has some really thick detail. Okay, now my paper is too dry, so I'm going to go in, clean out my brush, get a little bit of water at the tip, and then gently squeeze a little bit out. So I still have a bit of water, but not too much. And I'm going to soften this whole bit there that I just did. The very tippy tip in, just to barely get a little bit of water on there. And then pick up some cream consistency paint and drop it onto that moist paper that I just created. And see, it's already drying. So, clean out my brush, squeeze out all the excess water, do a few ring outs, dip just the tip in, and then touch to this still moist edge to soften that edge. I do not want that to be a hard edge in the eye. We'll let that all dry and see what we think. And if it needs more, we can do more, but that's a good place to stop and see what we think. We do a little push here. I'm putting some clear water to push into these wet black areas just to make sure that this light area in the eye stays really light, because that's important. Now I'm going to dip just the brush tip in my water, and then I'm going to moisten this whole eye. And because I've masked out the highlights, I can just moisten the whole thing and not worry about it. And I'm kind of dotting with my brush so that the clear water explodes onto the paper and it gets a little bit more wet than this one, because this eye taught me that I need to work with a little bit more water, but not much. It's just really, in fact, I'm going to go in and now I'm going to sop up the extra water. So you really just have to get a feel for it. And now I'm going to just dip the tip of my brush in the water and get some cream consistency paint and try to repeat what I just, it's just drying so fast. But if I can get those soft margins, I'll consider this a victory. All right, and that did a lot better than my other eye, because I kind of understood It's the climate of the, today's climate will make it dry a little bit different than yesterday. So you have to kind of let your painting teach you as you go. And each day is different because of the weather changes. Let's moisten this whole area because this whole part of his snout is much darker than what we have. And in fact, what we could do is some scrubbing later to lighten back out some highlights, and this would be the perfect dog to do it on. So I'm going to clean out that black, but then I'm going to get some ultramarine blue, maybe some cobalt for a tea consistency underpainting here. This is all quite shadowed, so, but I need to leave these white highlights in the nose though, don't I? This is all in very dark shadow all through here. Do not have to worry about. However, I do want a light highlight here where the light is hitting him a little bit. This is all going to be a lot darker though. So I'm just scrubbing that clear water on everywhere. And I'm going to get all this wet, except for where the white highlights are under the nose holes. I want to keep those so that I don't lose my understanding of where everything should be situated. But everything's wet here now with just, I would say, almost buckling stage. I've scrubbed it around a lot with my brush to keep it all evenly distributed, no puddles at all, just damp. And in fact, I don't know if you can see it, but my paper is starting to buckle up already. Get all this wet. This is really dark over here. So I'm going to just drop in some really dark black, cream consistency black, and just get this a lot darker in this area. And in fact, I'm going to do a little bit of a underpainting in here of some purple because I see purple. And I want that purple to show. I don't want it to be overpowering, but when I get the black in, I think it'll calm everything down. And then some ultramarine blue mixed with lamp black on my palette, cream consistency for this area. Let's see, good night, that's already dried. That's just crazy. I mean, this is all ready, all dry. This just dried so fast, and I need it to be more wet so this all these colors blend together. That's the whole idea. So I'm going to re-wet in here, then go back in with some very thick lamp black. Got to work fast. Apparently, it must be a dry day. Ooh, look at that velvet. Just beautiful. Almost too velvet. I want this to be really soft edge, so I'm going to put some water. This is actually quite dark. Melting edge. Hopefully as this dries, the nose holes will show back up when it's dark. When it's wet like this, everything looks really dark. And then going to go in with a wrung out damp brush and touch this edge. Don't want this to be a hard edge. I want it to stay light, but I want it to be a highlight. I don't want it to have hard edges. And in fact, if you look at the picture, it's very blue. It's not even white. So let's put some cobalt there now. And then lift out some cobalt there in the okay. I need to let that dry. It's buckling. I already kind of did a few things I didn't really want to do there, but that's okay. It'll dry and we'll let it do its thing. In the meantime, I'm kind of scared of this background. I'm not gonna lie. Trying to think the best way to do this background. I don't know. Maybe what I could do first is get the sky in this picture. This sky is almost white, but I want mine to have a little bit more I want mine to be a little bit more blue. So I'm just gonna dot some what I imagine to be blue skies around very tea consistency. So that'll be my sky. I'm gonna dab up any puddles, and then I'm gonna put a little dot of clear water in the middle of my clouds for the push technique to make sure they stay white. And then let that dry. Let's see what else we can accomplish though. Maybe this. Dirt road? I don't know. You can use whatever brush. I'm just using this bamboo brush to moisten everything, but you can use your, definitely use your 3/4 oval to do this work. Just getting everything evenly moist. And then I'm going to keep everything really tea consistency for now. And mix in some blue and some junk in the palette with this burnt sienna tea consistency. And I really don't know what the plan is. I don't really have a plan, so I can't really tell you what I'm doing because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. But I imagine this to be a dirt road going off into the woods. And I'm trying to keep it cool so it does not come forward. And then I'm just gonna paint some junk green. I'm gonna get some just green and then mix it with the junk on my palette to just calm it way down so it recedes. Put some ultramarine blue in it. Put some red. Get a couple puddles of different greens going. I imagine There's all these little I'm putting some pure ultramarine blue in here just to simulate underbrush, I guess. I'm keeping this really loose in the background. And in fact, I want his tail to look a little motion blurred. So let's see if this would be a good time to paint that in. I'm getting some cream consistency, lamp black, and mixing it with some ultramarine blue. I'm going to try to make a motion blur tail. Wish me luck here. This is a little crazy, but and then I'm going to spray this to motion blur it more. I don't want it messing up my sky though. I'm just kind of dotting at the tail to kind of make it look a little bit more motion blurred if possible. So we'll let that set and just hold our breath and hope that works. Kind of like that. You know what? It's buckling. Let's take, so I dipped my bamboo brush in water. You can, let me do it with my silver black velvet because that's what you guys all have. Cleaning it out completely, and then getting a little bit of water in the tip and getting the excess drips out. And then I don't want drips in the sky, but I want drips in this. If I can get some atmospheric just in the underbrush to make it look like random underbrush texture by dripping a little bit of water in this buckling paper. Hopefully it'll create some little cauliflowers. It's definitely doing that in the trail here. So that's what I want. So we'll see. I'm going to let this all set. All right, thank you so much for joining me for session 3. I'm not sure what we're going to do in session 4 because I haven't painted it yet. So I'll see you in session 4. I'm sure it'll be fun. Bye, everybody.